Alright, welcome to the morning stream, guys. Let's go ahead and get started working on Anton here a little bit more. And turn down our music just a tad so that I can hear myself think. So, I wanted to take some more actions on the face here. And that's what we were kind of talking about in the last stream, which in the last stream we focused a lot on some hair stuff, and our hair I think definitely needs some more work. I'm happy enough where the clothes are right now to where I would be happy going forward with doing some poly paint on those, but before we do that on some of the above the collar line here stuff, any of that, I want to work on it some more, in particular the face. So while I work on this face, I'm just going to hide a couple things here. We've somewhat organized our subtools just enough to kind of easily turn some of that on and off. And I'm going to do just that. I think I'll go ahead and turn off my clothing for the time being as well. Just so my rotations are a little bit more smooth. See a few people popping in here. Welcome, guys. Glad you could make it to the stream. Alright, so I gave it some more thought about what I wanted to do with the face. I made a very slight proportional cheek, proportional check. And adjusted his brow ever so slightly, just to get a little bit more arch in there, trying to find the line that you see there. And I actually stretched his head just a wee bit from about there up. So just a couple very slight tweaks. I didn't want to go too crazy with them. But yeah, now we can kind of look more at our skin. So I was thinking about this some more, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to kind of go through and trim a lot of these forms down or what. But after kind of thinking about it, I think I want to just kind of continue going forward with some texturing and continue to make more adjustments that way. So doing some more layers of texturing on top of some of the junk that we already have going on, and then from there hand sculpting over top of that, most likely with some of my clay brushes and the standard brush and maybe some trim and a couple other things, just to play around and add a little bit more not asymmetry, but try to get rid of that digital feeling that some of these alpha stamps and textures can create for you. So let's go ahead and start off using our drag rectangle and a couple, well, let's do a light spray with alpha 07. You can see what that does there. Turn it on sub, get the opposite effect, and turn our Z intensity down, and we can get some really nice simple pores. And if I do that really strong on there, you can see how that gets pretty crazy pretty fast. So we want to be a little careful with how we apply this kind of thing. So that spray is going to add some little bit of variation to your alpha stamp. So what I like to do is just kind of come through and tap a couple times with that. And you can see here on the nose, we did like a fairly rough pass earlier. I had some fun just kind of playing with that. But you want to be careful with your alphas, just because they do look very repetitive. Change your brush size a lot, and use as many as you can in different places. And try to think about the flow of your alpha. So if you're using something that that has a little bit more direction with it. Try to get those lines to flow in the natural way that those creases would occur, and try to keep all that in mind while you're doing that, which can be not easy for sure. Some of this isn't going to be seen down here. That line there is covered up by hair, so try not to go too crazy down here below the beard line. We're just going to play around with the default alphas for a little bit, and if there's maybe something specific we want to grab online, we can go ahead and do that, but at least for the time being, we can mess with this. So, the reason I closed my little spotlight thing there, if you try to select an alpha from Lightbox, it'll add it to Spotlight instead of your alpha palette, which is a little frustrating, but we wanted to avoid that. I'll knock these down a little bit, it's a little strong. You know what I need to do really fast? Is share this link real quick. One sec. Whoa. Okay. Sorry about that. My mouse is closing my browser windows for some reason, and I can't click on my tabs. Ah. This mouse has actually been a pain in my ass here recently. My middle mouse click is, keeps getting stuck. And it's not fun, not enjoyable. I'm not using lazy mouse with this right now, simply because I don't want it to look so clean, at least not for the time being. I think it's just going to add to that digital look if I do that. That's something I want to avoid, at least for the time being. So I'm trying to be pretty strong with my marks right now with the Damien Standard brush, and kind of knock it back a little bit later after we start kind of doing those additional passes. So start with your your strong alpha marks, trying to get a base coat of your texture and everything, and use some Damien Standard I think as well as a good one for building that kind of stuff up. And you always have to go back over that stuff. You can't just leave the default marks in there that everyone's going to immediately recognize. Try to avoid that as much as possible. I'm going to turn my hair back on just so that I can see where this terminates. Some of these strokes get a little strong up through here, so I'm trying to just kind of knock some of that down. Robert, welcome back to the stream. Sorry, I was in the zone there. And Anubis. Konnichiwa. I don't know why you have a little accent mark on that A, but what's going on, guys? And Rohit, welcome to the stream, guys. We're working on some more skin texture right now. Doing some stuff with the Damien standard brush, as well as a few others, just to start really trying to work on these secondary and tertiary forms that we got going on. Trying to break up my surface a little bit more and play with all that. Hope you guys are doing well, though. Glad to have you back. I don't really like a lot of these alphas too much. It's not a lot of them are directionally helpful. So you can see that they kind of go all over the place. That's not what we want. And try. I don't know how much more I want to use these actually. Let's maybe try to use this in one more place. Again, when you're using this kind of stuff, there's some like this is meant for going around the eye. It's not really strong enough so that you can see it, but I really think you want to avoid using stuff like this as much as you can. Like I said, it's really easily recognizable, and it lends to that digital look that you want to try to avoid as much as possible. So we're gonna hit all these multiple times after we start laying out a base here, but just to get some forms started on these guys. Square Play, welcome to the stream. Working on the daily CGI challenge for Sculpt January. Very cool. Jamie, glad to have you with us. Say me. Welcome to the stream, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Sounds like some of you are participating in the Sculpt January, which is pretty cool. Glad to hear that. Trying to vary these really as much as I can, and then we can hit them again, hopefully making them look a lot more organic. This model is not for a game, no. Pop vinyl figures of famous characters, what type of parody with them would you envision? I'm not a huge fan of the style of the pop vinyl figures with the big square heads. Sorry guys, my contact is not happy. Might have an eyelash under it. Watching 2 live streams at once. You did Majora's Mask because I love the design of that mask. Very cool, dude. Definitely share your work, guys, in the ZBrush Discord. And share it with everybody else. And I want to see it too, of course. In terms of this stuff, we might use this one a little bit too, but I think for the most part we're pretty close to our limit on that sort of thing. So I was thinking about how I wanted to do this, and I was thinking that the standard brush is probably going to be the go-to to start adding this little bit of form to these places. I'll play with it for a minute and see if I like what we're getting. And I might use one of my clay brushes. Just because with my clay brushes, we can actually get rid of some of that texture that I don't want in there. Where these alphas got a little crazy. With the clay tubes brush, which is what I'm using right now, it does a pretty good job of leveling out form. Let me turn off lazy mouse here for a sec. So clay tubes, the one I'm using right now, will only build up or down to a certain level, which can be very nice. I use that one more than pretty much any other brush. Sub the move brush, which I use for pretty much everything. Thinking about knocking down some of the form around his cheekbones more on this side. I think I kind of went a little too crazy over there. Just because the cheekbones are where your skin is pulled tighter, your bone is closer to the surface, and there should be less stretching happening there, less folds. It's a tighter area of the skin. So if I can get that across a little bit better, I think that'll help our character a lot. So we'll look at it again, but it's best to, I think, in my opinion, move around as much as you can and try to hit as many areas as you can in a short amount of time. What's the biggest booty you sculpted? I have no idea. Your mom's booty. I don't know. Does he look like he could be a werewolf? Yeah, possibly. Definitely with that beard. could just as easily use a standard brush for a lot of this stuff, but it just doesn't have the same output that this brush does in terms of its texture and everything else. The standard brush is more of just going to act as an inflate, whereas with this I can get a little bit more texture on there and also have the ability to get rid of some areas where texture looks really repetitive, bunch of strokes, trying to get rid of some of this stuff. I'd probably just use more of a trim brush maybe, try and go over some of that, try and build up some of these areas. This is the fun stuff. All the repetitive texture building and building up and knocking down and finding what works and what doesn't. And by fun, I mean extremely boring. Normally this stuff is easier to kind of play around with though, as you build your form. Those primary and secondary forms just require a lot more precise actions, whereas some of this stuff you can really kind of just play around with and try a lot of different things and see what works and see what doesn't. Whereas with especially those primary forms, I mean, you have to really take into account a lot of different things. Ooh. Jamie Cooper asks, where did the concept come from? It comes from, this is Anton Sokolov from Dishonored 2. If you want to follow this artist, his name is Cedric, and you can look him up on ArtStation at that URL. Go check him out. He's got a bunch of great work from Dishonored, the first game, the second one, and a ton of other stuff in here. But yeah, the entire game is pretty much based on, and the entire game's art style is essentially based on his work. It reminds me of somebody there. I like that. Oops. Omar, welcome back. Says many improvements. That is the objective, right? Glad to have you with us. We should still have our texture that we very quickly applied on here. And we can look at how we did that again. That's not the material we're going to want to use though. We'll play with some other stuff. But I want to leave it on just so I can look at some additional things here for a minute. Just a kind of help me see some forms I want to tweak. I say hi. Say hi. Melubnio. 6 subdiv levels on the head mesh to have such accurate details on the skin. No, those 6 subdivs were so that I could get a better crease down here on the mouth. And as I started to drop that down, if I drop that down 1 subdiv, you can see that we already start to lose some of that resolution. So a little bit higher, drop down even a couple subdivs, you can see where our resolution stops to go, or starts to go away. But one more up, all the way up to the top. There we go. A little bit more resolution in there to help us sculpt. But welcome to the stream. Glad to have you with us. Milunio. What brush are you using for these strokes? Take a gander up here at my brush palette for whatever brush I'm currently using. I have all my main brushes down here on the bottom, and I'll switch intermittently between a few different ones as I work here. Right now I'm trying to blend some of this texture in without smoothing it out too much. So I want to get rid of a fair amount of these strokes, and the clay tubes brush is a brush that is one of the standard clay brushes with ZBrush, and you can use it to build up form to a specific level, so you can almost use it to blend in some information here and there, which is currently what I'm attempting to do. Try to make things, try to get rid of a fair amount of the strokes that are on the surface that look very obvious, while retaining a fair amount of texture. You can see a lot of these larger strokes up top. Get to everything here. Try adding me. My favorite. Here's my Discord tag. Try adding me there. I'm sure it will turn out wonderfully. Well, thank you. Appreciate you. Where do I find the ZBrush Discord channel to show my work? Go on to my YouTube page, my YouTube channel. And go to About. And then click ZBrush Discord channel. And that's the link to join that. Once you're in, there's a bunch of different segments and sections where you can post your work and chat with everybody else. It's a great group of people. So we started this stream by adding quite a bit of detail with some alpha stamps, and in the past we've been slowly building up this form and texture with a fair number of different brushes. And now And now it's just a matter of making additional passes on this stuff to attempt to really get it to a point where we've used these alphas and we've used a lot of repetitive strokes. It's time to try to blend and break a lot of that stuff up, which is, you know, what we're attempting to do here. Keeping that color information on, even though I mean, I applied this color in all of 30 seconds, but it's still very helpful for me to apply some additional blending on here. I like to get my color on my model fairly quickly in my process, just so I have it. I think it helps you kind of see things, how they should exist as a whole a little bit better. And it's just fun to do. Some of these shadows are just a little bit too strong, and the form is just kind of turning a little too sharply, so I'm trying to blend a few of these larger shapes as well here. Stuff like this, where the stroke is just right on the surface and extremely visible when I try to blend that out. Stuff like this isn't quite as bad, but once you get it to that point, it's a little bit easier to blend. Definitely getting there. Robert just posted my mask sculpt on the ZBrush Discord. If you get to see it, I would love some feedback. Absolutely, I'll have to check it out. Let me know what section of the ZBrush Discord you posted it in so that I can go take a gander. What channel? Share your work section. Let's see. Let's check it out. Share your work. We got a little genie guy here. We are looking for a mask. Awesome. So the mask from Majora's Mask, it looks like it's, there we go, having some trouble loading. Awesome, man. Great work. Great work. Majora's Mask is one of the only Zelda games that I really haven't played, just because it's so different from all the other ones. But I've played pretty much all of them. I have played Majora's Mask, but just not to completion. I've played pretty much every other Zelda game though, minus like Spirit Tracks and the other DS game. But I've played all the old ones, NES, played the GBA games, Oracle of Ages, Seasons, all that jam. And of course, the newest Breath of the Wild. The Nekohime, the Princess Cat Chan, to the little cute princess cat. What's going on, Neko Hime? Robert, thanks. Never played any of the Zelda games, but I saw the mask once in an animation and said, "This looks awesome." Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it. Neko is modeling as well, and like the music / vibes here. Well, thank you. Glad to have you hanging out with us, and also getting some 3D work done yourself. That's always a plus. Melugnio asks, "Do you like anime?" I do. I do like anime. I speak some Japanese as well. I did some study abroad in Tokyo when I was in university. And went to Tokyo and got to study Japanese while I was there. Some of these forms are just a little too strong, and I knew I would have to knock these back eventually. I might as well do it now while I'm looking at this other stuff. But I think we're retaining a fair amount of our texture with this strategy, which is great. It's exactly what we were hoping for here. And I like what we're starting to get in here. Just need to keep pushing it. Again, this color is actually really helping me see some of these problem areas. Helping to darken that mesh. The basic material, I'm a big fan of it, but when you're sculpting with just the basic material for a long time, it starts to not feel too great on the eyes, and which is why I have my Follygon material, my clay materials that I use for sculpting a majority of the time. But I'm liking the result plus color that we're getting currently. Can switch as well. Darken it a little bit more if we need to, but I think this is fine for now. We have some pretty crap flow and just random texture going on back here. I was trying to break up the surface quickly with a spray alpha, and it works fairly well. We can try it again with a little bit of a different alpha. Something like that maybe. And see what kind of stuff you start to get. It's hard because with your pen you can really go overboard really quick. I tend to tap, but I want the directional data with this, so let's try like 5. Get like a quick swipe there. Just trying to break that up. Over here we still have some visible strokes that we probably want to get rid of. Try something a little lighter. I'm going to want to blend that up here as well. There's a lot of strokes we got going on up there that were for rough texture, and we'll want to take a look at that too. But I'm a lot happier with where our eyes have gone here recently. And we'll try to keep working all these other areas as well. But yeah, you can see you can just get a little bit of a break up there in the surface, and then we can come through and still use our clay tubes to build up the form and knock some of that back where we don't want it, if it's too much. Try to just trim back a lot of the kind of garbage strokes that are a little bit too strong up through here. I think they detract more than anything else from the sculpt. But as you can see here, we can still retain a fair amount of these larger texture strokes cuts into the mesh that we have. So we still keep some of that, which is great. And a lot of this isn't even seen up top, so we're not too worried about that. Nekohime says, you are far more advanced than I am. I don't know why that's funny. I mean, I've been working on this guy for a while. It's no worries. It's all a matter of time. Is our music even playing anymore? So quiet. I say that now, but it's like about to explode. Maybe not. Yeah, I definitely like the forms that we're starting to get here a lot better. Some of this stuff is, I think, a little messy. Which isn't always a bad thing, but I think it is in the case of this face texture. I want it to look, whoa, I want it to look natural and not just totally random here. We really haven't looked at the ears in a minute either, so we should do that. Now a lot of this, remember, isn't seen, so I don't want to spend a long time just playing with that stuff. But still, just so we're not staring at some ugly texture down here, just to clean it up. We're getting somewhere. I laugh because I just got into a class where we are sculpting in ZBrush from scratch. Well, hey, congrats, that's pretty cool. Sounds like a lot of fun. This guy was made from a sphere. Big old sphere boy. And then just kind of build everything on top, so if you want to watch that whole process, you can go back to the first part of the stream and check that out. But yeah, all my streams get uploaded onto my YouTube channel. And I believe you're on my Picarto page. If there's not a link to that there, you can just search on YouTube for Follygon and you'll find it. Whew. Starting to get some really good asymmetry going though with a lot of these fine details and our smaller secondary forms, which is great. We broke symmetry a long time ago on this guy, so that's not a huge concern of mine. But it's still good to be able to look back and see all that. See something here. I want your tablet. It would make my schoolwork so much easier. I don't know if a Cintiq makes it easier, but just having a pressure-sensitive pen definitely makes it makes your control more powerful. If you want an Intuos tablet, you can win one right now by participating in Sculpt January 2018. Check that out. They're giving away a few Intuos Pro Mediums. It is a challenge giveaway. It's not based on skill, it's just based on completion for completing the task each day. And they're giving away 3 tablets, like I said, sponsored by Wacom, the correct way to say it, Wacom. But yeah, they'll choose 3 random winners from that. And if you're looking for an Intuos tablet, don't have anything that's pressure sensitive, check that out. I have that from my school. I'm working on a laptop. Well, there you go. I think you're all set. Life with Steph, welcome back. Have a Follygon Cintiq giveaway. That's right. I will mail you this bad boy. All you have to do is be in the chat and be named Life is Steph Toy. Nice. Very nice. Want a bigger screen so I'm not hunched over a laptop. Yeah, so what I used to do is I would just sit in a chair and keep the Intuos on my lap. I didn't even have an Intuos. I couldn't even afford one back then. I had a bamboo tablet, Wacom bamboo tablet, and I'd just keep it in my lap and have my laptop up on a table high enough to where I wasn't like bent over, and you just keep it on your lap and work that way. I found that to be quite a bit easier. But yes, I used to have a smaller Cintiq, and I actually had a lot of back problems from using that all day long and being hunched over a small Cintiq. So just make sure you have the right tool for the job, and I think you're solid. But yes, Life is Steph. Go ahead and just send me your address, and I'll be emailing you your Cintiq here in the next week or so. Congratulations, by the way. I didn't even know personally that this contest was going on, but obviously it was. Come on, give me that. I think I had some color on this at one point. I still do, it looks like. I wonder, what's in a wonder ball? If applying some kind of color spray to this will result in anything worth playing with. Or just using some really strong, broad strokes with some stuff. Let's do that. And I pretty much reserve the stippling work for like skin and that sort of thing, but I just wanted to play around for a little bit here and see if I like any of the different variations that I'm getting. You can get some really cool effects with this stuff, but maybe for this type of thing, it's not really worth doing. Gets a little noisy. And keep some of that noise in there a little bit. Just have a little bit, so step back. I just filled that with RGB 25, which means 25% fill, and it keeps some of that color in there. It's really faint, but I can make it stronger if I want to. Do something like that. I don't know if I have a color even applied to this. Doesn't look like it. MRGB, sample that. Do skin shade, fill object. We can even, you know, come through here and turn on our spotlight projection and apply this color if we want. Some of this stuff. Projecting through. Just to get a base color. If we want to get stuff like the splatter, or whatever you want to call that. Can play with that. Try to find a decent color here to sample. You gonna send me a picture of the Cintiq? I had a Bamboo Fun tablet, then I had another tablet that stopped working, and this Intuos Pro. Gone through more tablets than I have. Maybe not, but yeah, sounds like you need to find the one that works for you. Or just have a bigger screen. It sounds like your laptop is not what you need for sure. Working on a big screen like this does get tiring though. Moving your arm all around. It's a workout. I want to avoid painting too strong of shadows in here. It starts to look really silly once I render. Might be some cool stuff that we can do though. Really just kind of turning up my RGB intensity now to fill in some of this junk. once we apply that percentage fill, we should get a nice gradient up through here. Let's try that. Try something like this first. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this splatter effect very well quickly unless I just grab some rusty paint textures, which is what I think this guy did, and do that. But turn off spotlight projection. Let's see here. Something like one of these or something, which is, again, I think which is what that guy did. A lot of variation in the... I think he started with this and then painted over top of it with a bunch of paint strokes. I don't think I'm gonna... be able to replicate that exactly. Play with some of that. I don't know how I want to do this. Might come back to it. Let's actually try importing one of these, just to see what we can do with it. If you guys don't know, the spotlight tool there, which is what I'm using as a reference image, is great for also doing some projection painting as well as sculpting if you want, but I prefer just using it for getting color data. We'll throw that in our reference folder. It seems like my only option now is to use Maya and import a mesh and work on it from there. Oh no. So let's try to import a new image to Spotlight. Some rusty paint. And we can try a little bit lower of an RGB value. Turn down the opacity on that quite a bit. We can play with this. I don't know if it's going to be something that we really like. What I'll typically do is grab something like this image here and rotate it a bunch and try to blend different areas. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this though. But at least you guys can see how you would go about doing something like this if you have a texture or something you want to apply to your mesh. Maybe just do this and then do like a quick gradient fill again. Might get us in a decent place. I don't really want to spend all that long on the clothes though, as I'm at least not for the time being. I'm not too worried about working on the clothes really. Originally I was just going to do an entire just solid color fill, but at least want to experiment here a little bit. So that's the basic quick process there. You can import, again, if you want to just do like an alpha or something like that, you can also do that. A lot of stuff that you can do. But we can grab this guy and do a tile selected and get him back into position. Turn out our opacity back up here. And try to find one of these colors again. My RGB value is on, let's do 15. Grab a little bit of a lighter color, a little bit too light. So something like that maybe, so it starts to look a little bit maybe dirty, like we got here. And we can apply some of that on there. It just looks very painterly, and it looks like he grabbed a couple brushes and just like stamped one here, and then a couple other splatter stuff that he used. And then there's obvious paint strokes here that you can see, which I don't want to do so much that it's super obvious. I don't want it to look hand painted per se. We have not even applied a color to our beard, which is fine. I actually have thought a little bit about how I'm going to apply colors to this, and I think just for starting out we can do a solid color and crash ZBrush and hope that it quick saves. Looks like we got a recovered file stored there, so that's good. Let's pop that back open. So we have a few recovered documents in here. We actually have a lot of recovered documents. If you look here, this is the recovered ZPR file. That is not what we want. This is the document. That's just going to be a flat image. That's not what you want. You want this one, the Z tool. It's going to be just that object, just that piece, which is indeed what we want. For his skin, now that I'm seeing that, we're going to use a different material for that. We're probably going to end up, depending on how everything else looks, we're going to at least do one pass with my skin materials that I have created, and we'll get to that in time. But for right now, we'll stick with what we got. And let's go ahead and import our reference image back in here. Add that to Spotlight. And there we go. And let me scale that. Actually, that looks fine. Oops, we'll scale it over just a little bit. Alright, so some really basic poly paint applied here. Just to kind of see what this dude looks like with some color. Can be very helpful. Those are separate meshes from my eyelids there, and I will merge those down eventually, just not quite yet. Turn perspective back on and take a look here. We've done a lot of good work here on the face, I think. Let's see. Alright, we are about 2 hours into our stream here working on this dude. We'll continue to play with it, I think, for a little bit longer, but then here soon I'm going to go ahead and bounce on out of here. There's some stuff I need to do with adjusting this jacket, as that thickness needs to decrease quite a bit. Let me look at adjusting this with my sharp soft edge brush, just to find a good line for that. And try it on the other side as well. I think just try to follow that line as best as I can, and we'll make some adjustments here manually. Kind of just marking on my mesh how I want that surface to turn, and then coming through, masking off that area. Do the same thing over here. And if it's hard for you to select something like that, you can always, you know, hide part of your mesh if it's not working out. I'm going to make sure that I don't affect the mask on this side. I'm going to try to fill that in only on one side. A little bit. Have back face masking turned on. And hopefully get up under there pretty well under the collar. Try to avoid some weird deformations. And start thinning this out. And just by kind of tapering this in, you'll see that we can get that effect, I think, pretty quickly and easily here. Try to avoid messing with that edge up top a little too much there. And of course, when you use RGB on a lower subdiv, it really screws with your material, so you can see there some weird stuff going on. I will fix a lot of that, so no worries. I have RGB turned on for my move brush, and that's typically what causes it. No, we don't care about our free make update. And just kind of thinning this out a little bit more here. Trying to be careful with my smooth brush not to go through to the other side. I can turn on backface masking if I really want to avoid that, but it looks like it's being totally fine. And just come back to Material, Skin Shade 4, and Fill Object. So fix that up real quick. Let's do these buttons as well. MRGB all the way up. And there we go. A little bit of thinning out there. We can maybe do some more stuff. We'll have to adjust the shirt later. Come through here, a quick pinch. On a low subdiv. Let's turn off that on RGB. Give it a little bit of a tighter edge. All right. I want to play around with my hair here for just a second longer. So before I bounce on out of here, if you guys got any additional questions or anything, let me know. And I'll do my best to answer those. But until then, I'll just stick around for a little bit longer and play. Well, actually, I want to look at my ears, since I haven't given them much love in a while. There are so many colors on the back of the head. Yeah, that's the result of the color spray. None of that's really seen though, so I'm not too worried about that, but it just depends on the size of your brush and all that. But as you can see there, you start to get a lot of different random colors in there. It's just the result, again, of that color spray. Color spray is really awesome. It allows you to get a lot of variation in color. And if you use it correctly, you can get some really nice stippling effects. And make your skin look a lot more realistic for your color. But yeah, I'm very good at blocking out, meaning hiding stuff from my brain that I don't need to worry about. Could try to come through here and start blending additional colors back through there. Clean it up. I'm not super worried though. We can do a lot of cool stuff with mask by cavities and all that in some future future streams as well. Like tonight. If you're going to be around tonight, or depending on what time it is where you are, I'm going to be, I do a morning and a night stream, so we'll be on later today as well, again, streaming some more and working some additional stuff on this dude. But until then, thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for hanging out, asking questions, and joining me while I sculpt and work on Anton here. It's been fun playing around with him. Those are some of the forms that we want to capture in there a little bit better with our other material. We're going to do lots of material passes, though, so it's not the end of the world if we don't capture exactly what we want with one material. So, with that said, thank you guys. Thanks for joining me again on the stream, and I hope to see you in the next one. And I guess follow me on Twitter if you want to know when that's going to happen, or just subscribe here on YouTube or wherever you are watching. Real quick, Neko says, I forgot the move tool was a thing. I feel dumb. Yeah, the move brush. If you're talking about the move brush, there is a move brush here, and I use that more than 99% of the time, but there's a couple other ways to move some stuff around. But again, thanks for coming, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. So, see you guys. Have a great day.